Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We are now back online and we are back kicking on the last final day of the Skills Development Summit 2020. We have our first speaker lined up. He goes by the name of Mr. Nick Kendall, who is the founder and Chief Operations Officer of Higher Education Partners. Welcome, Mr. Kendall, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, the perils and joys of technology. I believe I'm now live. So I'll start. Just by way of introduction, my name's Nicholas Kendall. I'm the CEO of Higher Education Partners South Africa. We are the South African arm of a global group that partners with universities, currently 7 in South Africa and 1 in Kenya, and we assist them to rapidly grow their enrollments by bringing their face-to-face degree programs into a fully online modality. I'm going to share my screen. Just bear with me a second for some more technology. Hopefully you can see this, and also just for connection purposes, I'm going to go off video just to ensure that it's a good audio engagement. Skills and work in a post-COVID world. So what has COVID taught us? Firstly, the need to be digitally savvy in whatever field we operate. Secondly, the need to be agile and responsive to change, and that's everybody. There's clearly no place to hide anymore. Our physical world has changed. Look where we're all gathered today. Offices have shrunk, companies have moved to blended operations, working from home and hot desking. We've reimagined our offices. Homes, once a place of leisure, relaxation, and work, also need to provide education 24/7 for the entire family. This presents a challenge to home builders, I think, going forward. The disruption of work-home balance. I think we've all probably experienced this over the last 6 months or so. We need to be always on, available 24/7. And we're caught in, dare I say it, a tyranny of Zoom meetings. As far as education is concerned, education, I feel, has changed totally and forever. Remote teaching is not just possible, it's often better, and it's about to become the norm. Certainly overseas, in the US and Latin America as well, online education is prevalent and been strongly available for the last 15 years or so. Graduation rates are higher, and employer acceptance of online graduates is very strong. The other myth around online education is that it's certainly not boring anymore. There's a multiplicity of sources, rich sources of information, and rich sources of engagement, which make the experience very rich. What does this mean right now? One-job careers are obsolete. The idea of working in a business for the next 40 years simply isn't going to happen. The chances are the business won't be there in 40 years' time. We have to be alive to the gig economy, the concept of having potentially as many as 8 different careers in our lifetimes. We need to be employedpreneurs. I think this is wonderful terminology. Whoever we work for, whether it's ourselves or a business, we need to be alive to the need of side hustling, doing different jobs simultaneously. Employers also have a role to play. Companies must allow for this and realize that their employees may have the potential of different gigs on the side. And of course, the need for continuous learning, and I think online will be prominent in that. We need to keep learning all the time, foundationally starting with degrees, but continuing with postgraduate, and then short courses for the skills we need for the future. What does the post-COVID world look like? Bank of America, in a report, identified 5 new trends. Firstly, geopolitics and globalization. As we've seen in the news, we can expect rising tensions between the US and China. Supply chains are going to shift away from globalization towards localization, something that was happening before COVID, but has now speeded up dramatically. The pandemic will result in a much faster than expected shift in manufacturing away from China, particularly in critical areas such as technology and pharmaceuticals. Tech wars, the battle for technological supremacy between the US and China, will likely intensify in a new world accustomed to online entertainment and shopping, where the need for tracking data to avert future health crises is greater than ever. And big government, we're seeing the signs of this in many democracies, including our own here in South Africa. The coronavirus has handed governments a newly expanded social mandate to protect their citizens. Expect greater government surveillance aimed at stemming future outbreaks and new debates over the greater social good versus individual privacy. Governments might also influence businesses focused primarily on shareholder returns to improve worker benefits and serve the needs of other stakeholders, including a greater emphasis on solving climate change and other environmental challenges. A greater focus on health. The coronavirus will certainly amplify the importance of healthcare and the critical role it plays in national security and economic growth. An interesting aside, in our world of online education, we've noted a massive increase in enrollments in some of the postgraduate diplomas in public health that we offer through our partner universities. Big increase in the last 6 months. And the new consumer, we've all heard of Generation Z. I'm not sure what comes after Generation Z. Perhaps we'll go to Generation AA. But certainly Generation Z is uniquely prepared for this new era of social distancing. As the first generation of digital natives, these younger consumers are comfortable in a world that takes place largely online. It's up to us older generations to adopt their digital ways, and many of us have during this lockdown period. So how do we prepare ourselves? I think firstly, it's important to acknowledge that there will be other pandemics. The medical experts worldwide are clearly telling us this, and we need to prepare. Obviously, creating sanitized, safe spaces in public areas and at work. Corporate life has changed forever, particularly how we manage staff. I think of the challenge of replicating what you might call the water cooler culture. Work has a socialization aspect to it, which is really important for us as social beings. How do we replicate that when many staff will be working potentially primarily from home? Challenges of, I've had this in my business, the challenge of onboarding new staff, socializing them into the organization when they've never physically met any of their colleagues and weren't able to do so for a period of months. and of course, fostering team loyalty among people who only know each other through a computer screen. Contracting skills is the new focus. I think we're moving from a management culture of command and control to delegate and authenticate. And companies must create an enabling work environment. Clearly, access to data, to technology, to internet connectivity will be critical. But with all this, managing burnout becomes a reality, especially transition legacy staff to working from home systems. I'm sure all of us have or are experiencing Zoom fatigue, hopefully not during the course of this conference. What could the new normal look like? I think the transition to the fourth industrial revolution, the Internet of Things, big data, artificial intelligence, all those things we've been reading about over the last months and years will be speeded up tremendously. Most companies, particularly manufacturing and agriculture, will be facing a debate of automation over employees, a remote versus a low-touch working environment. And then the advent of a-commerce, automated commerce to replace e-commerce through artificial intelligence. Shop streaming, something I came across when researching this talk, a new Chinese trend blending e-commerce with live streaming. And of course, if we haven't already, we're going to develop virtual companions, our digital assistants, chatbots, and the like. Of course, the rise of the experience economy. Many will have read about this. For many of us, it may well have become a reality over the last 6 months. Physical travel, concerts, events will be replaced through immersive technology. In higher education, the demise of the university campus, I wouldn't go so far as to say the elimination of the university campus, but I think it is fair to say most universities are facing static growth in their enrollments, face-to-face programs. Universities are facing tremendous funding challenges, won't have the resources to further develop their physical infrastructure, which really points to the rise of online learning in the education space. Students that have never set foot on a university campus will be able to complete their degrees. And the pivot from emergency remote teaching, which is something most universities quickly had to adapt to during the COVID crisis. But emergency remote teaching is really defined as a lecturer delivering his lecture in front of a Zoom screen. That's quite distinct from a fully online, highly curated, rich, engaging, active learning experience. As I mentioned, the outcomes are better, the graduation rates are better from US experience over 15 years. And I think the key thing is that students will be more prepared for the world of work, not just around what they've learned, but around how they've learned it in a fully online learning experience. And finally, new skills for this brave new world. Mental agility, resilience in the face of rapid change. Resourcefulness, our ability to find answers anywhere from a multiple of sources, to curate those answers into our ability to collaborate and project manage using technology to assist us, and the ability to create and innovate. An example of the gym instructor who was used to face-to-face contact with their clients, who now has to pivot. And you find, if you go onto YouTube, you'll find gym instructors rapidly pivoted to delivering online, and perhaps the future of gyms may be at risk. Critical thinking. It strikes me we live in an infodemic, if I can call it that, of fake news versus facts, real science versus quackery. Our ability to distinguish truth from fiction is going to be critically important. And of course, digital and coding skills, web development, digital marketing, social media, and data security and cybersecurity will be hugely important. Finally, the ability to reach our customers and communicate with them, primarily through digital marketing channels, which will rapidly replace and usurp traditional marketing channels. And across all of this, leadership will be critical. It's really not just an executive competence anymore, but incumbent upon everybody. Job seekers will need to project clarity, credibility, and confidence. And the gig economy that I spoke about demands people who can lead and be led in fluid teams. To end on an optimistic note and a final thought, businesses need to look at ways of staying in business after the COVID-19 pandemic. That is, unfortunately, a true reality. But remember, every problem that requires a solution can create opportunity. That optimistic note.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Nick Kendall, founder and Chief Operation Officer of Higher Education Partners. That was truly informative, Mr. Kendall. I was bickering with my thoughts, and the first thing that conjured my mind is what happens after Generation Z? Who's coming up after Generation Z? And you provided clarity on that matter. So now we know that after Gen Z, we've got Gen AA. So we look forward to exploring what Gen AA is going to be all about. And thank you very much for then helping us really think deeply about COVID-19 in context to education and the SMME development, and what COVID-19 truly has taught us. One, to be digitally savvy. Two, the need to be agile. And three, how education has changed from a classroom context to now digital. So we're seeing that more graduations will occur because people will be tuned in online. I really, really admired your input on the gig economy because that's what it's all about. So when you're saying that now the side hustle has to be advanced in this day and age, we're now seeing that COVID-19 has taught us we can't rely on one income stream alone. We need to have multiple streams of income. And it's very unfortunate that of the world's population, we have the most educated of them. But whilst they're the most educated, they are also the most in debt, which is very unfortunate. You're quite right in saying businesses need to look at ways of staying in business. And of course, with the advancements of 4IR and also technological development, it's very important that we need to migrate from one space to another and also be more innovative in solving a lot of problems and packaging our products as well in the services and in the products industry. So thank you very, very much for reminding us of what COVID has taught us and also reminding us of what the new normal is going to be. We learned a lot, and we look forward to learning about the e-commerce that you have